Okay, so we're putting them all together, all different types of lines, whether it's in slope-intercept form, slope point form, general form, we're going to graph them. Okay, so if it's solved for y, then that's pretty easy. You plot the y-intercept and use the slope to get a couple more points. Try to fill up your grid. So it says, sketch the graph of each line and label it. Put A, B, C, D on the first one, and then the rest on the second. So they're not all on the same one. So take a look here. Our slope is going to be -1, the coefficient of x, and our b value is our y-intercept, 7. So you plot 7 and use the slope of -1. Notice how it's negative x. There's no number, but there's a negative. It's understood to be a 1. So you're going to go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. Don't just stop there and do a couple. Yes?
What's wrong with the graph? The y-axis does not negative.
Oh, they're just covered up by the grid. Okay, those are negatives down below there. They're just covered up. Okay, so these are going to be a straight line. Okay, and fill up as much as your grid paper as you can. Okay, and label that A. Put arrows on the end and label it A. Guaranteed you'll have to do some graphing on your test. Okay, next one is B. So take a look. In B, there's just an x term, no constant term. So what's the y-intercept if there's no constant term? It's 0, right? It's like 1/5 x plus 0. We just don't show it like that because that's not in simplest form. But that means, I'm going to switch to red, that it's going to go through the origin because the y-intercept is 0. So here the slope is 1/5 and the y-intercept is 0. So now we go up 1 to the right 5, up 1 to the right 5, or we can go down 1 to the left 5. Remember, -1 over -5 is 1/5 positive. So down 1 to the left 5. Okay, join those up. Oh, that didn't work. Sorry. Then the next one, solve for y. Okay, when you solve for y, notice how there's no x term. So what's the slope if there's no x term? 0. So that will be y equals -5, right? Because the 0x term. So that's going to be a horizontal line going through y-intercept of -5. So that one is a horizontal line. The slope is 0. Notice the difference here. So I solve for y. This one solved for x. So remember, these are perpendicular to each other. And so if the y equals -5 is a horizontal line, that means every point has a y value of -5. Then the line x equals -3 is a vertical line. That means every point on the line has an x value of -3. So it's going to go through x equals -3, and then It'll be a vertical line. It has undefined slope. Okay. So that is D. Then we'll put E and F on the right. So we'll go back to blue here. So this one is in point slope form. So it is an easy form to graph as well, because that coefficient of, or the number outside of the bracket is the slope. So our slope is -2. And then our point is the opposite sign of the constant term with x, is our x value. It's really what x value makes that bracket 0. And the opposite sign of the constant with y, so +5. It's what makes that left side equal to 0. So now we plot the point first, -3, 5. Then we use our slope of -2 to plot as many points as we can. So down 2 to the right one, down 2 to the right one, down 2 to the right one. Fill up your grid as much as possible. And then join up line. So we'll do line. Okay, just a sec here. Okay, and then arrows on the end. So that's E. And then F, it gives you a hint here to use slope and y-intercept. So that means we have to rearrange the equation into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to leave the -4y on the left, bring the other terms to the right, or you could bring the -4 to the right to make it positive, which is kind of nice as well. And I'll do it this way. Then I'm going to divide, divide by -4, because I have to have y equals, and then divide each term by -4. Don't forget to divide both terms by -4. So then we'll have y equals +3/4 x minus 2. So plotting that, so y-intercept is -2, and the slope is 3/4. So 1, 2, 3 to the right 4. Again, fill up as much as of your grid paper as you can, or you can go down 3 to the left 4, down 3 to the left 4, and join those up. Sorry, it keeps doing that. Down 3 to the left 4, so I just got to move that back. I'll start up here. There we go. Same color, but I'll label it so it's okay. And then, so that one is F. And then G, it says by finding the x and y intercepts. So we just went through that. Maybe I'll do it in green. So the x-intercept, remember, is when y is 0. So I'm going to put 0 in for y. So that term goes away. So I'll get 2x equals 18, x equals 9. Then the y-intercept, that's when x equals 0. So now I'm going to put 0 in for x. That term goes to 0, so I'm left with -6y.
Bring the 18 over to the right, makes it positive. So y equals -3. So plotting those, x-intercept of 9, y-intercept of -3. So that's only 2. We don't have the slope. What you could think about, okay, well, if I look from this left point to the right, I'm going up 3 to the right 9. So I could go down 3 to the left 9 to get another point. Really, up 3 to the right 9 is a slope of 1/3. So that could give you more points as well. I mean, it's fine just to do those two, but it just, you find the closer that the points are, the harder it is to actually join them up correctly, like with the correct slope. So I'm going to use that green. Okay. It's pretty good. I'll just move this slightly. Oops. Okay. And that one is G. Okay, and writing equation. So now we're not given the graph. I mean, we're not given the equation and that's the graph. We're given some information. Sometimes it's a graph, sometimes it's written in words. So the first one says a line with x-intercept of 4 and parallel to the y-axis. So here, x-intercept of 4, think of the coordinates of that. That's going to be 4, 0. So we do have a point on the line. Unfortunately, it's not the y-intercept. That would make it really easy. And then it's parallel to the y-axis. So if you think about your y-axis here, it's parallel to the y-axis, which means it's going to look like a vertical line somewhere. And so this tells us it has to go through the point 4, 0. So it's going to look something like that. Remember, for a vertical line, the equation is x equals the x value. It's always the x value of that point. But this says to put in general form. So general form has all the terms on one side, 0 on the other. So that means I'm going to bring the 4 over to the left, and that's the general form. Not much to it because it's a vertical line. Okay, so then the next one is we've got a line given to us. Take a look. Always look and see if the y-intercept is nice, and it is. It's -3, and we need to find the slope. So the slope is, choose another point. Looks like this is a nice point. So if I go up and to the right, I'm going up 4 to the right 2. So the slope is 4 over 2, which is 2, and the y-intercept is -3. So I can start by putting it in slope-intercept form. So y equals 2x minus 3. So here, if you look at this, this is in slope-intercept form. And so yesterday I said, well, bring everything to the left because I like it shown on the left, but that would make the x negative. So today I'm showing you, because you've done it for a day, is if I, a little bit faster, is if I bring the, oops, if I bring the y term to the right, okay, but then I'm going to rearrange it. And that's basically saying, okay, I'm going to keep this. Now it's going to be on the left and 0 will be on the right. Okay. If you had brought everything to the left, you would then divide by -1. Get the same answer. Anything times 0 is 0, right? But I always like showing all the terms on the left when it's in general form. Okay.
take a look at the next one. Slope y-intercept form. Is the y-intercept nice? No. So in this case, I'm not going to start with slope y-intercept form, even though that's the form that you're asked. I'm going to choose, that's a nice point there, okay, and choose another nice point here to find the slope. So from the left point to the right, I'm going up 5, to the right 2. So my slope is 5 over 2. I don't know what the y-intercept is, but this nice point of 1, 2 is what I'm going to put into my slope point form. So remember, y minus the y value of a point equals the slope times x minus the x value of that same point. Okay, so that's an equation. If it didn't specify what form, then you would be done. But it did say slope intercept form. So I'm going to expand the brackets because I can't have brackets in the slope intercept form. Okay, and then I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Okay, so negative 5 over 2 plus 2. Well, that's going to be the same as 4 over 2. So negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1 over 2. Oh, I forgot the x there, sorry. Okay. So take a look at your graph. Does the y-intercept look like negative 1/2? Well, it looks pretty darn close, right? So you are, good way to check. You could also put that into your calculator as y equals and graph that, and then check to see if it passes through the point 1, 2, or any of the other points on there. So you can use your graphing calculator. You won't have to, the plan is not to make you have to use it on the test, but it's certainly a very good tool to check your work on the test. Okay. Next part, no graphs. Okay, so it says determine. So again, show your work. The equation of a line in general form. Oh, there's a colon there, semicolon, that passes through the points negative 4, 5, and negative 10, negative 3. Okay, so you have 2 points. That's awesome. What else do you need? Slope. So calculate the slope. So remember that slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So in this case, it would be negative 3 minus 5 over negative 10 minus negative 4. So you figure out what that is in reduced form. So that's going to be negative 8 over negative 6, which is 4 over 3, positive. Okay. Then choose either of the points and put it into that slope point form. We have to end up in general form, but there's no real way of getting to that general form without either putting it in slope intercept form or slope point form. So you decide which point you're going to use. I'm going to use this one. So it'll be y minus 5 equals 4/3 bracket x minus negative 4, which is going to be plus 4. Okay. Then got to get rid of the brackets, get rid of any fractions. So y minus 5
equals 4/3 x plus 16/3. You got to distribute that. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. Common denominator.
Okay, now you want to get all the terms on one side. So again, maybe you want to do what we just did this in the previous question.
The x term is positive here, so maybe you want to keep it positive on the right, bring everything from the left. So you would subtract 3y, add 15, but then write out your final with everything on the left.
What you, from there, you can't really put that into your calculator without solving for y. So what you would do in terms of checking with your calculator at this point here, you would bring the 5 over to get y equals, and so basically slope-intercept form, and that's the form you could just put into your calculator. Or even in this, you could keep the brackets, bring the 5 over, just to see that you got that initial part correct. But the only way in your calculator to put it in is if it's y equals. Okay. And last one says determine the equation of a line in general form again that passes through 0, 5. What's special about 0, 5? What kind of point is that, or what particular point is that? So it's a point. So what's special about 0, 5? When there's a 0 in it, what's special about it? It's an intercept. Which one is this? Is it the x or the y? It's the y-intercept. 0 for x, 5 for y. So it's the y-intercept.
And we want the new line that we're finding to be perpendicular to this one. Okay?
So we need to know the slope of that line there. How do we find the slope of that line? The easiest way. What's the form of an equation where it's got the word slope in it? There's 2 forms. First form we learned, slope-intercept form. Really slope y-intercept form. Well, look at this. We have the y-intercept. Well, you can use it quite frequently, but you have to be able to invert it back and forth. So in this particular one, if we put this in slope-intercept form, we can find the slope of this line, then use it to figure out the slope of our perpendicular line. So here I'm going to solve for y. So get the y term by itself, divide by -5. So that'll be positive 2/5 x minus 18/5. We don't really care about the y-intercept for that one.
So the slope here of this line is 2/5. The line we want has slope
Of what? If it's perpendicular to 2/5. Will. Right.
Flip it and change the sign. Called negative reciprocals when we're talking about our math words, right? And so we're lucky in that point
That was given was a y-intercept. So we don't have to use slope point form. We can use slope intercept form. Although it's probably the same amount of work, really. Okay, we would be done if it said just find an equation. But it says in general form. So in general form, can't have fractions. So multiply through by 2. Just remember that every term has to get multiplied by 2. Okay, and then all the terms on one side. Now the x term is positive in this one. So I'm going to, is negative. So I'm going to bring it to the left to make it positive, right? Then I have to bring the 10 over as well. Now, what about this one? What do we notice? Every term. What's common to every term there? 2. Okay. So, but what did I do something wrong? Yes, I was going to say, then my slope isn't the same. Yeah, it's 5x. Thank you. Okay, so we're done because that has nothing in common. So that's our general form of the equation. Okay.